Donald Trump throwing out now he's defended himself on this point by saying, "Hey, I didn't bring it up. The Washington Post asked me if the fact that Ted Cruz was born in Canada is an impediment to him running and occupying the office of President of the United States." Now, our friend Ann Coulter has spoken out on this matter and joins us now on the phone. So, Ann, knowing how you dig into the constitutional precedents of any question, what about Ted Cruz's birthplace, Calgary, Canada? Does that is that a problem for his eligibility to be president of the United States?
Yes, it is, and I've learned again. I don't know why I am like Lucy in the football, like other people. I haven't spent my life writing law review articles on citizenship under the Constitution. So, I heard various smart lawyers whom I respect saying, "Oh yeah, no, as long as you're a citizen when you're born, that makes them natural born." They cite a case on that, and I believed them. But then I did my own research. And no, I'm sorry, with all due respect to Paul Clement, the fact that he says Ted Cruz is natural born, I notice in that law review article, they neglect to mention the 400 years of common law history under England, which was then incorporated into our Constitution, and the half dozen or probably dozen Supreme Court cases on citizenship. In the U.S., also in Great Britain and in France, citizenship is determined by soil. The two methods are soil or blood. Curiously, in Germany, it's blood. Congress can write laws for naturalization. That is also in the Constitution. But if Congress has to write a law to make you a citizen, you're not natural born. And for about 300 years under the Constitution and under the laws of the country, Ted Cruz would not have been a citizen. It is determined by a law written by Congress, not by the common law, not by the Constitution, so that is not natural born.
Okay, but wait a minute. I'm a little confused. You said blood and or soil. By blood, he'd be a citizen.
No, it's one or the other, not both.
So we're a soil country, not a blood country.
That's how the analysis begins. Now, the Congress can write laws making it by blood, but that does not make it natural born. It has to come from the Constitution for it to be natural born, because if Congress has to write a law, well, then you had to be naturalized. Oh, and by the way, this is not saying he's not a citizen. Yeah, he was a citizen at birth, but he had one American parent, was born outside the country. That is not natural born under the Constitution.
Okay, but let me just put it this way. Pose the question to you this way. Let's say Ann Coulter had ambitions to be president of the United States. Let's say the first female president of the United States.
No, I'm against female presidents.
But owing to her mother's desire to see Paris at a certain moment, Ann Coulter was born in Paris while her mother was on vacation.
Right.
Now, her mother wasn't living in Paris, hadn't taken up residency in Paris,
I'd be a citizen. I wouldn't be natural born.
Because when you first hit the ground, it was on the dirt next to the Seine rather than the dirt in Connecticut.
Right, and I would add, a couple of things. One is, in addition to being born on U.S. soil, there are exceptions to that rule, i.e. ambassadors or people just traveling through, or enemy aliens. So there are exceptions to that, but that's the rule you start with. You have to be born on U.S. soil. And then, of course, Congress can add to it, as it has. So it doesn't mean you're not a citizen, but having made the first point, so you can say that anchor babies don't come from the Constitution, and you can say, and that is consistent with Ted Cruz not being a natural-born citizen. You cannot take the position that anchor babies are part of the Constitution and Ted Cruz is a citizen.
Natural-born citizen.
Natural-born, yeah.
Okay.
And BC.
Now, Anne, because we know each other, and we have spoken before on occasion, I know you're a Trump supporter. Except
I've been saying this since I was a Cruz supporter. I mean, thank you, because apparently that's the way constitutional analysis goes these days. You determine we're all Ruth Bader Ginsburg now. Whatever you want the Constitution to say, that's what it says, miraculously. Well, that has never been me, John Gibson. And in this particular case, there's proof of it. I was suspicious of this for a while. I briefly believed the smart lawyers that I now know always look it up yourself. But at least as far back as Larry Kudlow's show last April, nearly a year ago I was saying it because Paul Clement and those guys and the Cruz partisans ganged up on me after I had said it and said, no, we've looked at it, we've done this careful analysis. But then I looked at it myself, and no, it's wrong. I'm sorry, the Constitution says what it says. And back in April, there was no Romney running. There was no Donald Trump running. I was a Cruz supporter. He's still not a natural-born citizen. The Constitution says what the Constitution says, and I understand since everyone else in the universe thinks constitutional analysis does not involve looking at 400 years of common law. It involves deciding what you would like the Constitution to say and then announcing that's what it says. And I've noticed these articles, whether, in National Review or the Harvard Law Review, having looked up the law, I'm thinking, gosh, what's their argument? I've read the Supreme Court cases on citizenship. I've read Blackstone. What citation do they have? And they never have a citation. They just cite some guy told them. Okay, it may be an impressive guy, but that's not how you do constitutional analysis.
Well, okay, so Donald Trump, who you like, has...
And I have been saying this long before
I know,
Trump
okay, I got that part. But he has recommended Ted Cruz get into a federal court as soon as possible and seek a declaratory judgment. Number one, how would that process work? And number two, would that be your advice?
The issue is, no, I don't think you can. I mean, that's a process question. It's true that there is a problem of standing for the average person to ask to take that to court. There's the political question doctrine, as everyone keeps saying, but it is not true, as you keep hearing, that, well, there's just absolutely no way to get this to the Supreme Court. There are ways to get it to the Supreme Court. A state could bring an action, or someone could bring an action in state court saying you can't put him on the ballot. That's one way. Another way is Hillary Clinton could sue if Cruz were the nominee.
Uh-huh.
She would have standing. Now, whether a court can always bounce a case by saying, well, this is a political question. I find it a little hard to believe. Everyone seems to assume that would be said here. I mean, come on. What if Vladimir Putin announced he was running for president of the United States? Are you saying that we say, no, I'm sorry, our courts can't step in? What if somebody, that 20 years old tries to run for president when it says you have to be 35? There's nothing that can be done? I don't think so.
Ann Coulter, check her out at anncoulter.com and in fine publications everywhere. Annie, thanks a lot. I'm plumb out of time, but you've teed up a question for me, and I always appreciate that.
Good to talk. I'm going to write about it next week so you can get the common law history and the Supreme Court.
No, I got a feeling this is going on for a while. You may be back on this subject. Thanks very much. All right, Ann, thanks a lot.